Hey friends, and welcome to another episode of Field Notes, Insights and Observations for the Travel Marketer. My name is Eric Hulkran, and we are live in Atlantic City at the New Jersey Tourism Industry Association for their conference on tourism. And on today's episode, we're heading to Cape May, and we're talking with Diane Weiland about what's going on there. As I said, we are visiting with Diane today. We're going to Cape May. My friend, how are you?
I'm doing well, and Cape May County is really moving along.
It is moving along, and as I was saying before we started, like, you have been on what it seems like the inverted hockey stick for like the last 6 years, and you joked that like people tend to get mad when we talk about this, but I want to focus like specifically on, you know, what you think contributes to that growth. And in a industry where you're seeing the ups and the downs and the ups and the downs, what is Cape May doing that you're seeing growth year in and year out?
Well, one thing that we know is that everything changes. People's perceptions are changing. We know that the trends are changing. And even during COVID, we had a pretty good year because, you know, we take a look and it's a science and we study what can they do, and we promoted, you know, exciting places, open spaces, because people wanted to be out and not crowded into, you know, in lines and things like that. So we saw, you know, okay, this is going to work. We recovered 94% recovery rate the year after COVID. Well, the others were taking more years. We were kind of moving right along because we were able to offer visitors what they were looking for. The bucket list experience, the beaches, the outdoors, the nature. These were all things that we could offer. And authentic vacations. You know, we don't have to build anything and they will come. It's here and we have what people want. And very, very different than other beach destinations.
How so? Tell us how.
Well, because of our diversity, when you take a look, we're at the peninsula, at the very tip of New Jersey, and we have Delaware Bay on one side, the Atlantic Ocean on the other. They call our area, we have the Cape May bubble, where weather in other places is very different than what it is in Cape May County, and a lot of it has to do with the bay and the ocean warming, keeping our area warmer, and you know, we're not getting the storms. They could be predicting, you know, storms in Philadelphia, and you just travel 90 minutes south and it's sunny and beautiful. And so we make jokes about it, but we know that it's a real thing. So the diversity, we have the campgrounds. We have 47 campgrounds in our county. We have the hotels and the motels. We have the B&Bs. We have the Airbnb, the condos. So we have all these different lodging options that fit the pocketbooks of our visitors. We also have, you know, the nature and the outdoors. Cape May County is one of the top 3 birding hotspots in North America.
Oh, wow.
And so people don't really know that, but when they come and they see the birds, whether you're a professional or an amateur, they're out looking at the birds. They're out, you know, we have the World Series of Birding, which brings attention to the area because people come from all over. Teams from all over the world come to identify as many birds as they can within 24 hours. And that all takes place in Cape May. They can go all over New Jersey, but most of that's right there in Cape May County. We have the fishing industry, recreation and commercial fishing. And we're one of the top fishing seaports on the eastern seaboard. So there's New Bedford, Mass, and there's Cape May, Wildwood, Port Sea, the fishing industry. And these are things people want to do. And I always tell this story about, we met with the owner of the Lobster House, and we had a journalist with us, and we were showcasing, you know, the fishing industry, the commercial fishing industry. And he pointed to his deck area, and he said, see here, we are starting to people want to come out here on the deck. Normally they think, you know, oh, it stinks. You know, it's the smell of the fish, the boats are unpacking and things.
Right, yeah.
So when we saw that this was an increasing interest and the trends had changed, we switched it from stink to aroma.
Right.
In our marketing.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you know, the aroma of the, you know, beaches, the bay, you know, and things like that. So we kind of make jokes of how we flip things around and spin them a little bit. But people are interested, and if you don't study the trends, if you don't see what they're looking for, and evaluate our assets compared to what people are looking for. If the top activity that people are looking for is snow skiing, we're out. unless there's going to ski off sand dunes, we can't do that.
Right.
But there's so many more, such broader interest of visitors now and they want that experience, so that we can see where do we fit, and how do we market, and how do we get the message out to potential visitors and return visitors.
And one of the things that you and your team have been working on is shoulder season. So can you talk about like how long that took and how much growth you're seeing out of the fall and winter, which aren't typically, as you just said, your thing?
We were traditionally Memorial Day to Labor Day. Things shut down, nothing happened. Different municipalities started adding special events, and that was a huge interest to bring people back. We also have a huge second home population, so they can come back whenever they want. Used to be they would shut down and have someone come in and shut their water, and they were done until the next summer. Now we're not seeing this, and I would say in the past decade we have really developed a strong campaign, put dollars behind it. We call it our second season. So it's the fall, and now we're creeping into the winter months. In Cape May, that's become more of a 9-month, maybe closer to that, a year-round destination. But so are all of our other municipalities. Ocean City has amazing fall events that bring people here, and again, the second homeowner is key. And then they have right to first night, January 1st. So they've already sold out their 10,000 tickets to that event, so it brings people back. We also see with the fall that we market more to the 55 plus. The baby boomers, they have the money, they have the time, and they're looking for getaways. We also kind of tighten our marketing from a 300-mile radius to about 150 for getaways. We're looking at getaways, long weekends, stuff like that. So as we bring more people in, we're starting to see more businesses staying open. And I know in a lot of the places they close at the end of the Christmas season, they might take 6 months off. Or 6 weeks off.
Sure,
And then all of a sudden it's Valentine's Day and President's Weekend. So now we're building it back and people are coming back. So you have to study it, you have to really look at it, you have to understand who your customer is, how they want to get their information. Because, we hear a lot it's print is dead and it's all social media. However, we're not seeing that, because when we survey our visitors, we ask them, how do you want to get your information? And because we tend to skew to a older age bracket, they still want that print product in their hand. Mm-hmm. And we do trade shows, travel shows, and the amount of literature that leaves the show, we know that the print is still an important part of what we do. As this changes, they age out, we're going to see it change. But in the meantime, you have to set your budget and your marketing plan to address all of those ages. It may cost more money, but that's how it's going to work.
Well, and you may see it phase out, but I was in Ohio doing a travel conference, and they had a huge presentation on this particular agency that specialized in travel catalogs, right? Mm-hmm. So when you go to a rest stop or whatever, you pick up those magazines, and they specialized in the covers and messing with the cover art, and they were doing case study after case study of how they would come in and for specific counties or whatever, they would change the covers and they would be gone like that. So like you may see that, but you also may see people consume it in a different way. The other thing I want to talk to you about though is you are doing a session here on interest media, and you talked about social media, and we've moved headlong out of this social connections, who you are connected to the interest connections of what I'm interested in. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of interest media in the travel industry and kind of give us a preview of what you're going to be talking about?
Well, what we look at is again, how do people want to get their information, and we know more and more people want to hear from third party. I can tell them anything, and I can write beautiful things, and if they can't experience that when they're here, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So we use that, the bloggers, the influencers, more and more for them to tell our story, to come and experience it, be part of what we're doing. We determine their topic based on our surveys. What do people want? Response from, just talking to people at trade shows. And then they come in, and then we give them kind of a layout of what we want. And we've been very successful, and these influencers have done an amazing job getting the message out, and we make the determination on what they're going to talk about based on what's hot, what are people looking for, what's new, and we look to see their blogs and their posts to see, okay, that might work for us. One of my favorites is we know more and more people are traveling with pets,
yes,
dogs especially, and more of our businesses are becoming pet friendly because Fido wants to go, then they're not coming if,
right.
if he's not invited.
Yeah.
But we have several dog parks, but in the Wildwoods there is this huge dog park right off the boardwalk onto the beach, a block wide all the way from the boardwalk to the water, and it's for dogs. And so people can go there and take their pets, go on the water, and you won't have any complaints. So I mean, these are the things. Ice cream parlors that now have,
pup cups.
So when we started to see this, we thought this is of interest. We know it's a growing trend, and we want to make sure it's out there. And they did an amazing job. The influencer came with their dog, visited all these places, and did a great story that we couldn't tell.
Yes.
That's not a story we would tell normally in our marketing, but we let somebody else tell the story, their experience, and that's what's of interest to people. The other is this huge growth in our area of providing accessibility. So we have a whole collaboration on all the handicap accessibility
awesome.
Opportunities because it's important.
Yep.
And so it's access to the beach, to the boardwalk, to the different attractions. So we look at what's out there, how does it match, what's the fit, and everything's about how does it fit with us. So I'll be talking about some of the things that we did tomorrow in one of the sessions, but just how much this has changed our focus, our marketing efforts, and the cost is really affordable for us.
Yeah.
It fits within our small budget.
Yep. And I think the important lesson out of this is as a DMO, as you're heading into 2026, the importance of being the anthropologist who can notice that stuff.
Yes.
And go, okay, maybe I can't do this, but I have noticed this trend, and I have to figure out how to get that.
How do I get that message
Yes.
out there? And that's all part of this study. If you don't know your customer, you don't know their wants, their needs, or how they perceive the area. One of the things that we hear most is that we're very, authentic and charming. So that's a great appeal to people. So let's tie that in where
Sure.
people will know. Like you say, we don't have to build it. It's already here.
Yes.
And just make the most of it. And every one of our towns is very unique and very different. You're not going to get the same experience in Cape May as you do in Ocean City. You're not going to get the same experience in Ocean City as you get in the Wildwood. So we want to make sure that people know, that there's something for everybody. And we do find that people traditionally, they find that magical place to vacation, they come back year after year after year.
I love it. So we're obviously here at the TJTIA conference. I'm wondering, Diane, when you come to a conference like this, you've obviously done your fair amount of conferences.
Mm-hmm.
What do you look for? I mean, you're presenting, yes, but what do you look for to get out of it to say this was good for me? I got the thing that I was looking for out of this conference.
I think that it's just to get new ideas and new angles and how, sometimes you have thoughts in your head, but how do you define that and how do you make it work? And that helps you kind of put that together and say, okay, we can take that idea and kind of mold it into marketing what we have in Cape May County. So, and I think our diversity helps us become more able to do that. We're not pigeonholed into anything.
Sure.
And, just the idea of how many people are out there. And we market now with the internet. We can market wherever we want and target. And we have a Canadian component of our visitor base since 1968.
Oh,
They've
wow.
been coming here, even though things slowed down last year, they still came.
Yeah.
So it's because of the tradition, it's because, they become family. A lot of them stay in the same hotel or same campground year after year. There's, wedding announcements,
Yeah.
baby they become friends, and that's a good part of that warm feeling, that welcoming feeling that you get.
Awesome. Diane, thank you so much for the time.
You're welcome.